Travelling in retirement doesn't have to mean roughing it in hostels wherever you travel. It doesn't mean having to skip a cocktail with dinner every now and then. In fact, with a few smart tweaks, you can actually stretch your travel budget further without ever feeling restricted. To travel better, spend less, and still enjoy the good things. So stick around, because one of these tips alone saved us thousands of dollars over the course of our travels. If you're new here, I'm Dean, and with my wife Pauline, we've travelled together to over 30 countries in the 30 years since we got married. And after years of trying to work out how to save money to travel more, we're ready to share the tips and tricks that we've discovered that have helped us along the way. Now first, let me be clear, this isn't a guide to penny pinching or having to miss out on the good things along the way. It's about making choices that give you more freedom. The freedom to do a lot more travel once you retire. Our first tip is one that we made an entire video on recently. That is traveling in the shoulder season rather than having to go in peak. This simple tip alone can easily save you hundreds of dollars or more on each trip. Gone are the days when we were restricted to traveling during school vacation time when everything is at its most expensive. Now that we're empty nesters, we can travel with a more flexible schedule. And traveling during that shoulder season still gives us most of the good weather that summer had to offer, but it gives us the prices that are outside tourist time. When we went on our 2-month road trip to Spain last year, just by pushing it back from commencing in August to starting in September, we saved up to 40% on the accommodation in most of the places that we went. We still got to eat the same tapas, we still got to drink the same sangria, but we were able to afford more of it and still had money left over when we came home. Second money saving tip, hotels aren't always the best option. If you're staying somewhere for more than a couple of days, it's really worth considering finding an apartment. There's certainly plenty of money to be saved by cooking the occasional meal or even just by having breakfasts in your own room rather than going out for every meal while you're away. Another possible benefit of an apartment is you may have a washing machine or washer and dryer, which will save you the extra expense of having to go to a laundry to get it done when you can do it yourself. And finally, apartments, there's always a chance that you can get a weekly or a monthly discounted rate. Not many hotels are willing to offer that. And here's another fact. Sometimes by booking directly with small boutique hotels or B&Bs, you can get little extra perks. Personally, we've been offered things from a free breakfast to late checkout. We've even been offered a cheeky bottle of wine every now and then. Our best example is during our 6 weeks in Mérida in Mexico, we found a really good 2-bedroom apartment. Our daughter was with us, and we ended up getting it for about $30 a night, which was a 50% saving simply because we were booking for over a month. And when you're talking about a place like Mexico, saving $30 a night is pretty close to paying for your food for the day. The third tip is closely associated with the previous one. This one's about how to save money dining. We've already discussed having an apartment where you can cook your own meal occasionally, but if you do prefer to stay in a hotel, try to find one that offers a good breakfast. We've always found that if we can have a really satisfying breakfast, we don't even feel the need to have anything more than a small snack for lunch. And when you're saving the extra cost of that additional meal each day, it quickly adds up. And if you've got some sort of a fear of street food, it's really time to get over it. If you can see a lot of locals dining somewhere, even if to your standards it looks like it might be a little bit unclean, the chances are the food's really good and they're not making anybody sick. There's big money to be saved and there's amazing experiences to be had just by trying the street food, eating like the locals eat, eating where the locals eat. Now let's talk about how to save money on transport. Depending on where you are, you don't need to fly between each town or city. Explore the possibilities of bus travel or train services. There are countries that you may not expect that offer really good sleeper buses and sleeper trains. And it's not just the money saving that we like about trains in particular, it's the fact that they travel from the centre of a town to the centre of the destination town. Whereas with an airport, there's so much wasted time. The price is usually more expensive. You've got to pay the extra cost of transfers to and from airports. You're sitting around the airports for hours doing nothing. And once you arrive at your destination, you've still got to jump in and get a transfer all the way into the city from there. Give me a train just about any time. And a cheeky side note, in a lot of places you'll find that for over 60s, you can get a senior discount on train and bus tickets in particular. Another way to save some money on your transport costs requires a bit of a mindset shift. We're probably all used to traveling where we want to pack as much into our vacation time as we possibly can. But as we get into retirement travel, we don't have those time constraints on us anymore. So instead of flicking from town to town every day or two, slow down, have a week in less places. You can always come back another time if you want. And you've saved all those expensive transfers between towns. And the real victory out of that, it's not just about saving money. By spending those extra few days in each destination, you get a chance to really experience the people and the place, rather than just ticking off the box of another destination that you visited. You know, the most expensive experiences and activities that you can do when you travel are definitely not necessarily the most interesting. Have a look at some of the free things on offer in the places that you're going. Are there museums, churches that you're interested in? Can you do a free walking tour where you can offer a decent tip to the guide at the end rather than a ridiculously high fixed fee? Are there any local festivals? Can't count the number of times that we've just been wandering around the streets and come across some traditional dance or other fun little thing going on. They're the things to keep your eye out. Do a little bit of research. It's a great way to kill a couple of hours without costing a cent. Now, I'm not saying that if there is a must-do activity on your list that you rule it out just because it's going to cost you some money. During a road trip in New Zealand, we cut costs wherever we could along the way, knowing that we wanted to spend some fairly big money to take a heli hike excursion where we actually got to walk along the top of a glacier. But what I am saying is, don't just do an activity if you think it might be okay, if it's going to cost you more than you think it might be worth. There are so many local, cultural and traditional things that you'll find around town that are probably going to be as good or maybe even better. So have a look for them first. Now, something that I mentioned before was the money saving mindset. You've got to remember that you're not saving money just for the sake of it. You're looking for value. Don't stay somewhere just because it's cheap. Instead, find the cheapest place that still makes you feel comfortable. Because travel's got to be about joy and experiences, not about deprivation just to come in under budget. Just be smarter about not spending all the money on unnecessary comforts or activities that may not be worth the money. The goal is not about coming home still with your wallet full. The goal is about making sure that even if your wallet's empty when you've come home, that you've got so many experiences and memories under your belt that it was totally worth it. So remember I mentioned a tip that we think has saved us thousands during our travel together? It is one I've mentioned before, and it's the benefit of staying in apartments over hotels. But it's not just about the money that you can save by staying longer term and getting a discounted rate. It's also the additional money that you can save by shopping locally and preparing a few of your own meals, breakfast, the occasional dinner. But one thing I didn't mention that could be seen as an additional benefit to apartment stays is that they're more likely to be in the residential area rather than the centre of the tourist area. And to get that little bit of an insight into the way the locals live is just going to make you feel more at home. It does for us. So that one little shift of changing from every stay being in a hotel to going into apartments whenever we feel it's worthwhile has genuinely saved us thousands of dollars over the years. And we've put those savings to good use. We've been able to stay for 4 weeks instead of 3, 6 weeks instead of 4, all at the same price that we expected in our initial budgeting for the shorter trip. So these are the main ways that Pauline and I have been able to stretch our travel budget without ever feeling restricted. Because like I said, travel in and approaching retirement should be all about freedom. And by implementing some of these strategies, you can enjoy more of that freedom for longer. Now, I'd like to know which of these tips you'd try first. Or do you have a budget saving trick of your own that I haven't mentioned? If so, share it in the comments. We're always open to suggestions and always looking for a way to stretch our dollar even further. If you found this helpful and think that more people could benefit from tips like these, please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, because I've got plenty more tips to share on how to travel smarter as you approach and as you enter retirement. For example, I've got a video coming up in the next couple of weeks about how to find mobility-friendly destinations, because while we may not be wheelchair bound, I'm pretty sure none of us have still got the knees that we had in our 20s. But that definitely doesn't stop us from wanting to continue to explore the world. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.